Teen House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
This is Conversations with Mike Sparks.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, your community? Then you're in the right place. State Representative Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk about local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right. Listen to Conversation with Mike Sparks. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Got a good show tonight. Here in just a little bit, we're going to have Dr. Ming Wang, a dear friend and kind of a hero of mine, and I think he's probably the smartest guy in the state of Tennessee. And somebody looked at me the other day because they didn't know who Ming Wang was, and I said, this guy's giving sight to the blind. Trump that. And they couldn't, It was like checkmate. They didn't know what to say. But I appreciate it. He's fixing to come on here in a little bit. But one thing we've been talking about bringing attention to is the old town of Jefferson. I think it's fascinating that the Trail of Tears come through there. The first black lawmaker came through there. He was a Republican, by the way. Nobody ever tells you this. Samson Keeble. My understanding, he fought in the Confederate Army. No one's ever going to tell you this, folks. Media won't tell it because it doesn't simply fit their narrative. But the federal government come in and took their property and displaced all those people. I believe in property rights and freedom, and they displaced all the residents there. And I often use the term butthurt, and I think there's still some of that. They may not call it that. Some of the relatives of their parents that own property out there and farms. But it's a fascinating discussion. And Roger Thomas here with Sam Davis Home, they had a big reunion over the weekend, didn't you?
Oh, yes,
Roger?
Yes. We had it was actually the old Jefferson School in the Jefferson area. And I'd say it was probably 50, 60 people. But what was sad, they read off a list of people that have passed since the last reunion.
Yeah.
37.
Really? Wow.
It was 5 years ago, but 37. And
37 had left.
Yeah, yes. And one of them is my cousin, my first cousin.
Your aunt couldn't make it.
And she's 95.
Died.
And she's actually the oldest living person from that area.
Yeah.
And I'll brief everybody about old Jefferson a little bit, what it's about. I think a lot of people kind of know, but it was the county seat for Rutherford from 1803 to 1811. Yep. And, of course, it moved it on to Murfreesboro later on, for whatever reasons. But as different things went on, and so there was a town of Old Jefferson there. And in 1966, 67, Percy Priest Dam come in.
Yep.
All right. And it's going to flood this town, the town of Old Jefferson,
yep,
where my mom was born. My great-great-grandparents were. And it never flooded. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the thing. It never
really
flooded.
An atrocity,
but they burned it down and tore it down, tore the roads out. And that was the bad thing about it. It was a bad call on their part. Got everybody's land for cheaper or nothing, which included my family.
Aren't you shocked this doesn't make national news?
Oh, it only news it really makes is just right around there. Just people.
Well, this radio station.
Yeah.
Well, I think
you're really good about
Wayne
it.
Blair are going to be talking about it sometime.
Well, yeah, we're going to be talking, I think, more about the ghost stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So. But anyway, they had the reunion yesterday, and Mr. Jones was there.
Yeah.
He's been on here for Charles Jones, and he's 95, and he drove himself to the reunion.
Wow. We got a little lost in Jefferson Pike construction.
Oh, you got a little lost. Is that what you say?
No. You said he had to call you? Because they got some temporary construction
I thought you meant when
on.
we went on that tour and you got lost.
That's
Okay. Well, I quit breaking that up. But, but... Yeah, he met me down there by Gillsville.
Yeah.
We used to call it Gillsville, Ace Hardware and all that. Yeah. Well, it's not even Ace anymore. But as construction was going on, so I went down there and he followed me in, and we made it over to the Davenport Farm, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
If you've ever been there, it's awesome.
Davenport.
Yes, and then we really appreciated them. But I got to see a guy I hadn't seen since 4th grade.
Yeah.
And his dad was military. They had moved, Seward Air Force Base, and I can remember the name. I remember.
So he went, even though he was Air Force,
his dad.
Child, he still went to Old Jefferson.
Yeah, they did for a while. Old Jefferson people would either go to John Coleman or some went to Old Jefferson.
Okay.
And and they came to Old Jefferson, and I seen a guy had Chandler, and I said, "Are you?" He said, "No, that's my brother, and he's here," and he pointed him out.
Oh, cool.
And I said, "Man," he goes, "Yeah." We got talking.
So where do they live?
He lives. I'm not. He was living in Florida, but he's around here, Columbia or somewhere.
So
now
he
he
came
told
up
me
for that.
he came up for that.
Wow. Now, did Carson make it?
No, Carson couldn't make it. My sister, she went there, and they're in California.
Jenny Williams make it?
Jenny was there, Melinda Potts, and also big shout out to Joyce Leonard that kind of put it on. Her mom was my fourth grade teacher.
Okay, really?
Third and fourth. It was 2 classes in a room.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kind of summed it up. But we really had a great time. But the crowds are, people are kind of quickly. So maybe one day, my big dream, I always tell you this, is have a some kind of museum.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Jones, I know he's interested in trying to help with something.
But he's actually going to speak at your annual chili cook-off you have.
Yeah,
January the 4th at Sam Davis' home. Yeah, he's going to be one of the speakers. He's going to be talking about his book. He's written a couple, and one is actually Jerry Short's grandparents, and he's the hero. It's kind of part fiction, part that. Peyton Smith, that's the hero in this book he's telling.
Yeah, well, speaking of Jerry Short, great guy, by the way, on Smyrna Council. His parents, my understanding, his parents lived in the old Stony Lonesome plantation.
That was his grandparents.
Grandparents, where Samson Keeble was born. He was born free. He was born free.
Yeah.
And I think his parents, Samson Keeble's parents, were free. My understanding of the Keebles, any slaves they were all set free before the Civil War. Yeah. That's my understanding. So there's Marshall Keeble, I think, who was a famous minister. But it's some cool history, and I'm really hoping that Senator Kitcher and I, former Mayor Bill Kitcher and I, tried to save the old King's John's home. And I told Ernie Johns before he died, Ernie was county historian, that he wanted me to do something. I said, I'll try. And we almost had that home saved and bought. If I'd have had lobbyists, man, I hate to say it, I probably would have got it done.
But, man, I heard the most interesting story. Melinda Potts, she was a king, okay? Well, she was a Graves. Her mom was a king, same. The house, in that house, she was telling me about that. It was actually a hospital during the Civil War.
Bullet holes.
Yeah, she told me there was blood back there, and they belonged to hers way before I think the Joneses got it. They owned that. That would be a prime place for a museum, because that was Old Jefferson back then. All that Sam Davis home was too.
Man, you need to talk to Mr. Jones. Maybe he'll stroke a check.
Well, that or the federal government and
tell Mr. Jones he can't take all that money with him.
Yeah.
He owned part of Hickory Hollow Mall, and he's a successful businessman. But I'm gonna tell you, Dr. Wang, this thing is so cool. I was born at Seward Air Force Base. My dad was Air Force and served in World War II. Charles Jones remembers riding in a car down Jefferson Pike in front of where the airport is before the World War II airport was installed. I thought, this is weird. I'm in like a matrix. But he remembers this. And I'm like, this guy's alive and he has all this history. And, it's fascinating. But I know he wants to do something. He had talked to me, Mike, there needs to be a state park. Mike, there needs to be something. Mm-hmm. But I can't do this by myself. I got to have people with passion and conviction that really wants to help. And, sadly, it's like the African-American history. So many of these folks, Dr. George Smith's passed, Elaine Washington, Bo Washington's died. Mary Watkins doing what she can. She's getting up in age. And people have to start caring about this stuff, because once they're gone, we got to hand it over to Connor and these other people, and I don't know if they even care about it.
It's like I think Rick Call was looking into something about the Smyrna Museum. Maybe they just do some kind of combo. Combine them both.
Well, what's fascinating, and you're the one that really put me on this, is Sam Davis' home was considered Old Jefferson.
Right.
Before Smyrna.
Up till 1869. 1869 became Smyrna, then it became part of the Sam Davis home.
Yeah, it is fascinating. But anyways, who was it? Was it Confucius, Dr. King, that said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step?
Yes.
Is that right? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so,
yes.
We just got to take one step and do what we can to try to preserve some of this history. Yeah. We were talking about, last week, Edith Moore's place on Old Nashville Highway. Dr. Wang, it was constructed. Her grandfather was the son of a slave. He hand built this house. It still stands. Well, it's standing, but it's about to fall in. But I had the Secretary of State in a few years ago, and we want to try to save it. She's wanting to save it, but when they put when they did the survey for the adjacent property, they literally put the survey through the middle of her old home. There was 12 kids raised up in that house, and if folks want to drive by, it's across from the gravel pit down past the Stones River Battlefield on the right, heading to Smyrna, right before Jerry Whedon's Ebenezer Baptist Church right there. To me, it's just fascinating. But if you look at the that guy did the concrete himself. He took wagon wheels, she was saying, and that's how he formed the arches.
We saw it. You could see it in there. The way he took the hubs, I guess the steel part off the wagon wheel. You could see it, and when we walked up to it the other night.
It really is.
It is really. It's cool how he did that.
It is fascinating. 12 kids raised up there, but sadly, she's doing all she can do. But I hate to say you got to have a lobbyist today, but there's a lot of truth, man. You got to have a strong advocacy, to do this. Well, Roger. Thank you so much for what you do to talk about history and this, and it does matter. Because, like, on the way up here, we were talking, you have history. Yeah. Your family goes how many generations back?
Well, back to there, I know 1850.
But you take
old Jefferson.
But you take Edith Moore. You take Dr. George Smith. You take Elaine Washington. You take a lot of the Mary Watkins, African-American history. Where do they go back? There's not much that goes back. And here's a chance to save. I mean, you're not going to find this in Rutherford County, in my opinion, on a main street that kids could visit with a field trip or something. A home built by the son of a slave that is still semi-standing. That's why it matters to me, because I know my mom's from Scotland. Her mom was from Italy. My dad was from Oklahoma. I know our history. But if you're talking about black history, there's not much black history that's tangible that you see. There's history, but if you want to go take a field trip and you want kids to say, hey, this man built this. He did this on this. She still has the shovels because her grandfather managed that cemetery. She still has his shovels, she said. Wow. But anyways, thank you, Roger. Let's go to a break, Connor, and we'll be right back with Dr. Ming Wang.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Hey, Middle Tennessee, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What's less secure than a fake safe from a big box or furniture store? Joe Biden's fake border policy, of course. But hey, there is good news. This time next year, Joe Biden will not be president. So drop by the Safe House and check out the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. Build a wall around your valuables with a safe from the Safe House. We have certified delivery crews to deliver and install your safe. Don't let a crackhead or illegal deliver your safe. With over 30 years in the safe business, the Safe House is the place to buy a safe in Tennessee. So go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to CelebrateRecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
Hi there, my name is Rusty Russ. I, along with my sons, Luke and Reed Russ, sell real estate for Stevens Group in the Middle Tennessee area. We are a team of professionals who have the knowledge of local and regional market, which allows us to offer you a full range of commercial, industrial, residential, and investment real estate services, matching our resources with your needs. You can call us at 615-366-8900 or at my cell 615-406-5553 or email jrustyrust@comcast.net.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com. Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Hey, I'm Floyd, and I'm inviting you to join me at CR. That's Celebrate Recovery. We meet at Family Worship Center, 3045 Memorial Boulevard on Sunday at 6 p.m. We're a 12-step Christ-centered program that offers help for all the hurts, habits, and hang-ups that's causing you pain. The program works if you work it, and I'm proof. For other CR groups, go to celebraterecovery.com and click on the group finder. Hope to see you soon.
All right, we're back. Conversation with Mike Sparks talking to Dr. Ming Wang. One reason this guy's kind of a hero of mine is you know, we were just talking on Facebook Live, talking about taking our freedoms for granted. You know, you were under a communist regime. You've been under oppression. We have not really seen oppression, in my opinion, in America like you've witnessed. And we were talking about why freedom matters to you. Why don't we just quickly recap why freedom matters,
Yes.
and then we'll segue into your book, From Darkness to Sight.
First of all, I really appreciate Representative Mike Sparks for inviting me to this show. You know, I take care of folks with vision problems every day. I realize that the people who really appreciate sight are those who used to be blind.
Yes.
So people who really appreciate freedom and faith we have in America are those who used to not have freedom. So my book, autobiography, From Darkness to Sight, as a life of immigrant, and also the movie now, Sight, distributed by NG Studios, it's about the story of someone who used to not have freedom and who used to live under socialism, communism, and have suffered. and really bring the perspective, the story to America today is that we are so blessed, live in a free country.
Yes.
And we should recognize human nature is that since we always had freedom, we do take for granted. And sometimes, Mike, they say, oh, Ming, what's the proof that we have taken for granted? Well, I said the proof is that we are so divided as a nation.
Yes.
We are so unable to work across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions to solve the problems that we face as a nation. I really believe that we need to appreciate America by being more willing to overcome our polarization and division and find the common ground.
Yes. I often, on this show, I've often talked about, I call them synchronicities. If you've ever studied
Yes.
Dr. Carl Jung,
Yes, yes.
Jung, then Jordan Peterson talks
Yes.
about this. It's just coincidences that they're meaningful coincidences. And even Albert Einstein said, coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous. So I often see coincidences in my life, and I think I shared this with you. During COVID, I was hosting you on a Zoom call, and we were at Danny Tollison's Turner Security in Smyrna, and I had some Laverne officials on, and we were doing the social distancing, and I had my homework at the same time at MTSU. I had Professor my mind just went blank. Leroy something. It was a writing course, and I thought, well, I can get in my classroom assignment, and then I'll have you on, and I'll pay attention to the classroom assignment, and then you'll do your lecture, and I'll kill two birds with one stone, trying to be efficient. Okay, and the professor, he starts saying, Leon Oligood, and a great guy. He just recently retired, and you're speaking on the screen that we had, talking about common ground, and then all of a sudden, the professor's whole lecture that night was you, and giving sight to that girl from, is it Moldova?
Yes.
And he said, and even my professor says, well, this is very coincidental. This is very coincidental. So my professor witnessed it manifest itself.
Wow.
And it was a meaningful coincidence. And I think I interrupted your whole lecture because I was so excited and about it. But I often see those manifestations. But going back on the common ground, I think we need it today more than ever.
Yes.
More than 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Let me ask you, I was talking to a psychologist the other day about some of this and human behavior. And it's fascinating for me because I see, and I hate to use the word butthurt all the time, but I just see it so plain, and people can't work together. How much of this is excessive pride and human ego?
Yeah, it's a great question. Sometimes people ask why we are so polarized. Because we need to recognize why the division that we have as a nation, to figure out how to overcome that polarization, find the common ground. And I believe through my book, my experience as an immigrant who used to not have freedom, and now the movie Sight, distributed by NG Studios, and I recognized that the reason we're so polarized is because we have taken what we have for granted. And they say, really, Ming? I said, let me give an example. It's a husband and wife. If you don't appreciate what you have, the marriage, then when you have differences, you're more likely to yell and shout and hurt each other's feelings. But giving even the same amount of difference, if the husband and wife do appreciate the marriage, they are much more willing to say, I know we're different on this thing, but don't we have so much else in common?
Yes.
So I think that our division, the polarization of our nation, is a symptom of reflecting an underlying reason, and that reason is we forgot how blessed we are to live in a country with freedom and faith.
Yeah.
It's human nature. So I do believe that we can find the root cause of division, which is the lack of appreciation of America, and really unite together as a nation to recognize, we need to put the country and God above everything else.
Yes. If you go back, like I always kind of study the life of Joseph. His brothers sold him into slavery, but God had a plan. Or you look at the life of David. He had to fight a lion, he had to fight a bear, but God had a plan.
Right.
Do you see that where, from a spiritual angle, that everyone has to go through some type of trial and tribulation before to learn as to character building? Do you see that?
Yes.
A lot, and folks like obviously yourself, you went through a tough time in childhood.
I give this presentation about the movie Side and book to inner city kids all the time on regular basis in schools, universities, and one of the most frequent questions that asked to me by the students have always been said, Dr. Wang, how did you persevere? How did you deal with the setbacks and the failures? And how did you not get discouraged? And my answer was that I've learned through my life is that obstacles, like Ryan Holiday said in his seminal book, "Obstacle is the way." Obstacles is not in the way that we have to go around. Obstacles and failures is the way that we have to go through. By only going through obstacles and failures can we grow as a human being. So I realized that if I did not suffer through Cultural Revolution, living under communism, socialism then back in China then, I would not have the grit today. I would not have developed the determination. If I did not have the experience of being an atheist, such as in the movie God's Not Dead, that Chinese student who went from atheist to believer in the film God's Not Dead, actually was inspired by my life story. So if I did not have the experience of being an atheist once, I would not appreciate, I think, as much as I do now about faith. So I now the reason I can deal with some of these difficulty and challenges is because I recognize that they are necessary. They are necessary. I welcome them because I know now I've got a chance to grow myself innerly, my inner strength, by overcoming these difficulties right now. So I'm able to persevere because I recognize we can only achieve something as human beings by actually going through this necessary part of our growing up, which is going through difficulty and failures. You know, I've often shared, like with Roger here, Thomas, he's with Sam Davis home, and my wife says I need to get over it, quit talking about it. But I was the only kid in my fourth grade class that did not have the money to go to the field trip. And the field trip was a big deal, such a big deal for our class and school. And it was $5. I mean, I could have got the money, but I knew my mom struggled. I didn't get to go. And that always played on me for years. And then a teacher, Emily Mitchell, invited me to my old school. She said, I bet your name's carved on the desk up here. So I went to she took me to my same classroom. It was really coincidental. Then I met the janitor. I started talking to the janitor, Sammy Sandiford. I said, where you go to church? He said, we're locked out. I'm like, you're locked out? Literally, their church was locked out in Laverne for 2 years. See, nobody, the ACLU is never going to defend a black church. The NAACP is not going to defend a black church. I've witnessed this stuff. I've seen it. And it's no disrespect to any groups. It's just, it's not in their narrative. But God had a plan for me to be there. And then she took me to my same exact classroom in the fourth grade I was in. But the next day I was a guest speaker at the 150th anniversary of Sam Davis home. And that's probably why I'm as passionate about that home and the history today. When we look at our society, I've seen the prison budget double. I've seen so much fatherless, and you look at the correlation of the fatherless epidemic to crime, fatherless to drug addiction, childhood trauma to the prison population, childhood trauma to drug addiction. And we're seeing, within 5 or 10 minutes, I'll see somebody out this window walking down the road here that's homeless out of Murphy Road. I think and I haven't studied this, but when you look back, you had a family that was supportive. How do you see that playing out with society today when there's such breakdown of the family? Yeah, that's such an important question. What I benefited from my parents brought me up who have imprinted me very early on when I was 2 or 3 or 4, the desire to acquire knowledge, to study hard. We were very poor at the time. Whole family, every month, the total income my parents was only $15.
Yeah, I see your book. I was just looking at it, and it says, as a child growing up in China, you're always hungry.
Right, exactly. But despite their poverty, my parents were able to see beyond the poverty at the time and believe there could be better circumstance for their kids tomorrow. So Dr. Rice Books, and Dr. Rice Books wrote the book God's Not Dead, which made in the movie God's Not Dead, which my story is.
Now he's the pastor.
Yeah, my pastor. Yeah.
Well, you were at Rotary. I don't know if you remember. You were at my Rotary Club, Smyrna Rotary, speaking about 5 years ago.
Yes.
And I told you I was a guest speaker that night at that church.
Oh, the Bethel.
With the Chinese American.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Chinese American
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
And I got up and I mentioned you and I mentioned the movie.
Yeah.
And a couple people told me, they said, you do realize this pastor wrote that book.
Yes.
I said, I didn't know that. But I went to that church as a little boy.
Yeah.
That was called the Lord's Chapel.
Okay.
It was a real, I don't want to say Pentecostal, but it was a very charismatic church at the corner of Old Hooker Boulevard and Granny White Pike.
Yes.
You know, because I remember Marcia Trimble, the little girl that was killed, her family attended there because we would go visit Sunday nights, that sort of thing. But that was another example of a strange, meaningful coincidence.
Yes, but it has meaning.
But I see in your book here, you were saying you arrived with $50 in your pocket, and the first meal you had was what?
Yeah, McDonald's.
McDonald's.
The Big Mac. So we wrote a book for the film site called Seeing Beyond. It's a movie called Sight. So we're hopefully offer new sight, the vision to America that is seeing beyond our challenges, our pain, and ourselves. You know, I think what distinguishes Christians from non-Christians is being Christian, we recognize we are limited. We need help from God. And seeing beyond our own culture. You know, I think, we should emphasize much less, oh, you're white, you're black, you're Latino, Asian. We are Americans, and we all love this country. And speaking of common ground, Mike, another common ground that I've been trying to seek is in my own ophthalmology field. That is common ground between science and faith. Yeah. Because lots of young people are leaving Christ today in studying science technology in the universities because they do not believe that science and faith can work together. Yeah. Genetic engineering, stem cell research, they feel they have to pick one, either pick science or faith. But the film site talk about that actually God wants science and faith to work together.
Yes.
And the movie side talk about we're trying to help this blind orphan child, Kajal, and I realized that I need to figure out a way how to reduce her eye scar. And I realized the only person who does not scar is an unborn child. But how can I do research on the unborn child without hurting the baby? Yes. As a scientist, I want to do research to help my patients, but as a Christian, I want to protect life. How do I do that? So they say there's no common ground between science and faith. Is that really true? But fortunately, I remember as a Christian, I need to pray and I need to ask for God for wisdom. And James 1:4 says, perseverance completes you. So I persevere. I believe God will show me the way to advance science, but at the same time protecting life. Yes. So eventually we came across this piece of tissue, the placenta. So I started thinking maybe placenta is what gives the unborn child the ability to heal without scar. So I got those placentas donated to me by mothers after giving birth to children in the hospitals, and the placenta is always discarded. So I got those placentas and I created amniotic placenta contact lens. Then when I put this amniotic placenta contact lens on the injured eyes, indeed, miracle happened.
Yeah, but you prayed about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is God give me the wisdom to persevere. The James 1:4, and so glory belongs to God. And in fact, I'm not just saying it. I actually believe God gave me the insight using the placenta. So actually, I donated my patent to the world. I just went around the world teaching the doctors.
Who's the first? Is there the first country to reach out? Is there anybody that's reached out
I went
quickly?
around Europe countries and Asian countries. So over a 20-year period, I went about 50-some countries, taught free of charge over 10,000 eye doctors how to use this technology.
Wow.
I put my patent online to share with the world. Today, amniotic membrane contact lens, which talk about in the film site, is a $5 billion industry. And millions of patients have the eyesight restored throughout the world. And even though I did not make any money, and people say, oh, Ming, you're stupid. I said, no, that's what God wants me to do,
Amen.
to recognize who is truly the creator of this technology. God, I did not invent the placenta. I did not invent the amniotic membrane. God did. And he gave me an opportunity to catch a little glimpse part of his original creation.
Well, you can't take all this with you.
Exactly.
I mean, you're a wealthy guy. I've been to your house. You still at the same house?
Yeah, same house, yeah.
Okay, I figured you probably moved.
No.
I think we were watching a Super Bowl or something.
Yes, exactly. You remember it,
Now, you are, if any churches or any groups wanted to invite you, is there certain, because I'd love to have you back at my church. You were at my church, I guess, 8 or 10 years ago?
Yes, about 10 years ago. I would love to come. My favorite talk is faith and science have common ground.
Yes. And, so you kind of combine them both together.
Exactly. And I want the church to invite the young people. especially those young people who are studying science, artificial intelligence in universities, and thinking erroneously God did not want science and faith to work together.
Yes.
My experience as a scientist and a Christian is God wants these two together, such as amnia, the membrane contact lens story. So I want the students to realize what I've learned, that is, science is necessary, give you the tools, but faith in Christ is the even more important. That is, give you a purpose, what you're going to use these tools for.
Yes.
So you need both.
Yeah. I had Men of Valor on the radio with me. I know you know Raul Lopez and Tommy Vallejos and others. And we had Mark Pody and some others.
Yes.
We had the prayer at the courthouse. You know, they traveled all the courthouse. I think I hit like 4, but it was very moving up here at the square. Mayor Carr spoke, and other Commissioner McMurray and some others spoke up here. And Judy King, my Rotary president, sang Amazing Grace. You know, that was my legislation, make it the official state hymn of Tennessee. And I think that doesn't Amazing Grace even mention that I was once blind, now I see.
Now I can see.
So I thought when you said it, I thought, well, that kind of reminds me of the song. But it was a great event. Just hearing Amazing Grace across the whole area there. In fact, the next radio program is Angela Bingham. Do you know Angela? Simplicity Radio? Mm-mm. Oh, she's really sweet.
I see.
We had an event at the courthouse a few months ago doing it was a little monument marker at the courthouse honoring former slaves that had passed, and I was one of the guest speakers, and she was singing. I didn't know she could sing. She was singing Amazing Grace. It was really what I call confirming. What other countries? I'm just curious. Is there other countries that are leading in this effort? I mean, you seem to me like you are the leader of the world when it comes to sight.
I invented the technology amnia membrane contact lens. Now it's being used nearly in every nation throughout the world by eye doctors in almost every country, and millions of patients have their eyesight restored with the technology.
Do you hear from your own home, your old country? Do you ever hear from them on medical areas?
Yes. We have a China Bible project that we, with volunteers, bring Bible back to China. It's still very tightly controlled.
Is it? But aren't there? I thought I heard it was either you or someone showed me that are there more Christians in China than there are in America?
It's probably pretty close. Very interesting that China has about 80-90 million Christians, and it's a small fraction of the big population. But America, if you count the really dedicated Christian, not just someone who claimed to be, but actually going to churches on regularly, it's actually comparable. Here's the thing, interesting. Here's a communist country, which may have comparable number of Christians as we'll presume the free country here. But my main point with the book and movie site. Now it's released by Angel Studios. Anybody who's interested, they can stream the film now, called angel.com/site, SIGHT, is to remind all of us as Americans that we are so blessed living in America, and we need to appreciate this country by being more willing to overcome our polarization and division and find a common ground. It's the act of being able to work together despite our difference that shows we truly love America.
I need to introduce you to one of my professors, Dr. Raj. And he's from India, and I don't think he's a Christian. Not being disrespectful. I think he's Hindu, or grew up Hindu. And I always liked this quote by Gandhi. And while I was first meeting with him, I said, Gandhi, I think, once said, he said, "I like your Christ. It's those Christians that are so much unlike your Christ." And we've got to remind ourselves to be more Christ, because it's hard. I mean, I'm in politics, you get hateful rhetoric sometimes, propaganda come against you, and forgiveness. I was telling a group the other day, I said, man, forgiveness, if I've had any success, it's because of forgiveness. Been married 35, my dad was married 5 times, and forgiveness is hard. You know, I mean, I don't know how you apply science and forgiveness. I don't know how there's something that comes together. But in my class, these students today are different. They're totally different. They're stuck on their phones, their iPads. They don't watch the news, because I took a poll. 0 watch news. And I had a little girl from Nepal, beautiful little girl. I tried to hire her, and she don't want to work in government. She wants to work in marketing. And Sweta Nepal is her name. And she come up to me, and I wrote an article about it was called the lack of civility is a threat to the republic. Lack of civility is a threat to our republic. And I talked about the Dale Carnegie program and how the Dale Carnegie program kind of talks about relationships, networking, that sort of thing. And it really is. It is a great program. Well, Dean Urban, that's been on the air with me a few weeks ago, well, several times up here, wrote that article. A little girl comes up to me, and I said, "What has set you apart?" Remember, I just wrote the article the day before, and I said, "You're just so outgoing. You're engaging. You know, you participate." She said, "I guess it's because I went through the Dale Carnegie program." The next day, that's what I call confirmation. And even Dean Urban, I was excited. He says, "Mike, we've had 6,500 students come through there. If you're a business student or marketing student, they kind of required, you know." And then the little girl says this right in front of my professor, who probably has a Hindu background, and great guy, Dr. Raj. And she said, "I just want to let you know I'm studying Christianity." And I thought, I guess she heard me talk about my faith. They were talking about Israel being attacked. So I got to share my faith with the students, because I said, look, even if you don't believe in the Bible, even if you don't believe in Revelation, even if you don't believe in prophecy, you've got to believe in math. You've got to believe in probability and statistics. If you look at the Jewish nation, they're the top 1% of mathematics, finance, technology, medicine, top 1%. That to me is fascinating. They're the most attacked country on the face of the earth. 6 million Jews were slaughtered in World War II, and now they're under attack again. And obviously, I mean, as a Christian, I see prophecy being fulfilled. I see it being played out. I've been praying for Israel, pray for Iran, pray for China, pray for Ukraine, and pray for all these problems that we're seeing. But I have a little hope in this next generation. I hear them talk about faith, and we're up against a fight with mainstream media. In my opinion, 90% is controlled by 5 huge corporations. That I think, Dr. Ming Wang, my theory, or what's the other word? Not premise. What's the other? Not theory. What's the hypothesis? Okay, is that they want to create division. That's how I see it. When I've watched the media for all these years, these corporate media, they want to cause division in our country,
so they can control.
I mean, that's how I see it. I often pictured, what's the little thing that holds the puppet? You know, the little piece of wood.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's it called. I know what it is.
I forgot. Somebody out there probably yelling it. But I've often thought there's certain people controlling, and we're just dancing to their tune. And that's where, to me, faith, like you say, and that's why I appreciate you having such strong faith and touching lives like you have, you know.
Yes, and recently I mentioned to you, Mike, that I published a little booklet called "How to Spend Half the Time Accomplishing Double."
This is exciting. Yes, go ahead.
That it's a big, because I've been people ask me questions, say, "Hey, Ming, do you have 40 hours a day or something?" And my answer always surprised them. I say, I feel like sometimes I have 72 or 96 hours a day. They say, how come? And my answer is this: I recognized that much of the things we do as human beings is irrational, impulsive, and emotional, not efficient. So I recognize the 77 of these behaviors. So I try to learning from students smarter than me and people more successful than me in life.
But who's smarter than you?
No, lots of them. Lots of them.
Name somebody. Name somebody.
Oh, my professors in the medical school at Harvard and MIT, some researchers. Yeah, I mean.
Are they still around? I mean,
they're around.
You stay in touch with them?
Yeah, because I'm continuing learning from them.
Really? And so collaboration matters to you?
Yes, yeah. I have several professors I collaborated. They won Nobel Prize for the medicine, and actually I did a collaborative work with one of them. And so the thing is, I learned from these smarter people 77 pearls, how to overcome our innate human nature of being irrational, emotional, and inefficient, and make us more efficient. Now then people say, okay, learning about these little 事半功倍 in Chinese called 事半功倍, meaning spending half the time accomplishing double.
That's what. So the title. Say it again.
Yeah, 事半功倍.
事半功倍.
事半 meaning half the time.
Half the time.
功倍 means accomplishing double.
Really?
Spend half the time accomplishing double. Yeah, efficiency.
Yeah.
And I realized something. We are mostly emotional. We're 90% emotional, irrational.
Oh, yeah.
So if I could recognize that, I recognize 77 of those behaviors and intentionally overcome that, make it logical and rational, I can make myself not just 10% more efficient or even 100% efficient. I can make myself 1,000% more efficient.
Well, how do you? Oh, there's my friend Marty Lutman sent me a picture. That's
Yes,
you and Marty at
yes.
What's that? Is that the?
I saw him in this was at the Tennessee Waltz.
Yeah, Tennessee Waltz.
Yeah, supporting the State Museum. And I said, hey, Marty, let's take a picture. Actually, he was in my cell phone, and we just I just pop up his, and we take a picture together. Well,
he's had a setback.
I know that, but he said he started walking now.
He's getting a little bit better, but he's got such a great attitude.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, like when you were suffering through all the pain you went through in China, how did you keep your mind? I mean, what were you focusing on to keep your head straight?
My biggest pro, as I mentioned earlier, is recognize whatever I'm in. Number one, this shall pass.
Yes.
Number two, this is a test. This is a chance to grow.
Oh, you look at the test of character.
Yeah, test of character and the chance to grow.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Josh Moss with Affordable Heating and Cooling provides residential HVAC and duct cleaning services to the Middle Tennessee area. With more than 20 years of experience, Josh Moss and the AHC team provide 24/7 service and take care to ensure whatever work you need done is done in a professional, timely manner. Contact AHC at 615-745-1676. That's 615-745-1676. Or go to their website at affordableheatingandcoolingtn.com.
Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps, but I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Hi there, my name is Rusty Russ. I, along with my sons, Luke and Reed Russ, sell real estate for Stevens Group in the Middle Tennessee area. We are a team of professionals who have the knowledge of local and regional market, which allows us to offer you a full range of commercial, industrial, residential, and investment real estate services, matching our resources with your needs. You can call us at 615-366-8900 or at my cell 615-406-5553 or email jrustyrust@comcast.net.
All right, we're back. Conversation Mike Sparks talking faith and freedom and sight with Dr. Ming Wang. Welcome back, Ming.
Thank you. I think we're at a very critical moment right now, 2 weeks away from election.
Yes.
And each of us as Americans needs to ask ourselves this question. Number one, two questions. One is, have we forgotten sometimes how blessed we are living in this country?
I think we have.
And should we really try to overcome our polarization, division, and find that common ground once again, unite as a nation and put the interest of nation, interest of party, the God above the interest of any parties.
Yes.
And so that's number one. Number two, we're at the crossroad. Where should we want to see this country go? And the movie Sight, based on my life and living through suffering under communism and socialism, and really tells America that let's don't go there. America is about freedom and faith. We should not forget it, and we need to protect America. We need to appreciate America by being more willing to work together again as fellow Americans.
Yes. You mentioned have we forgotten Darryl Worley's Darryl Worley song. I was at Nissan. I used to work at Nissan. My friend got killed in Iraq and blown out of a Humvee and killed. Freddie Hahn, he bought a truck from him. My mother happened to pray with him. He says, he said, Mike, I've been deployed. And I was at this event working with Habitat, and I seen one of my former coworkers from years ago, and I asked her, but how many of y'all knows who Asbury Freddie Hahn was, Sergeant Hahn? Nobody knew. It really angered me, to be honest, that he left here gets killed in Iraq, and nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I got criticized a few years ago for I've named a few bridges and roads after military folks, but I tried to reach out to Daryl Worley and say, hey, man, you need to revamp that song, because people, I think, have forgotten. You know, you come over, you had your first sandwich was a Big Mac, right?
I know. I was so hungry. You know, I suffered through Cultural Revolution in China. They talk about in the movie.
Yeah, $50.
Yeah, $50 came to America, and I didn't know the language. I didn't know no one. I only had $50. But it's interesting. I was dressed like totally, too formal. The suit, three-piece suit, and people say that you got to dress like American. I only had $10. How could I dress like American? It was only $10.
Yeah.
And the Salvation Army.
Salvation Army.
In the movie side, you see that, but the movie side is a message.
That's all in there. That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
That was a good part, though.
And the movie side is about offering a vision to all Americans today that we are living in the greatest nation on this planet. And we need to appreciate America, not just saying it, we love America, but truly act on it by being more willing to work together to overcome the polarization and find a common ground.
Yes. Speaking of McDonald's, guess who's working at McDonald's today? Does anybody know who's working at McDonald's today? Donald Trump was working at McDonald's. He was doing the fry machine. Is that not cool?
Okay.
You know, 1 in 8 Americans have worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know, McDonald's feeds 68 million people a day.
Wow.
I went by there today and got me my senior discount cup of coffee. I think we got is Marty on? He should be on. Hey, Marty, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, we were just you got to hang out with Dr. Wang here a couple weeks ago, didn't you?
Boy.
Hey, Marty.
An honor. I did. I got to hang out with him. I sure did. We shared a dinner together one night.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we are so appreciative of you, Marty, and your courage and the positive attitude, working through the setbacks in life and getting back on the feet. That your courage really inspires all of us.
Well, thank you, sir. But I want to tell you about McDonald's. My very first job was McDonald's at 65 cents an hour.
Wow.
How old a fella are you?
I'm about 94, 95.
Your this is 65 cents. I worked in McDonald's 3.25, so I'm a little bit younger than you, but not much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you ever work there?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
For real?
Burger King and McDonald's 3.25 an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Marty, you were on a radio show. I was telling Dr. Wang, Mark Brassfield, the Safe and Secure Show, 99.7 last night, weren't you?
I was, and I would like to invite Dr. Wang to go with me on that show one day.
Okay, sure.
I would. I think we would have a good time on that show.
Yes.
Sharing your history and history.
Sure.
Yes, sir, Dr. Wang. I think we'd be a good team.
Well, send something over to Mark Brassfield, Marty, see if he'd have them up. That's aired on 90.7, largest station, I think, in Tennessee, 5 to 6 with Mark Brassfield, Safe and Secure. The Safe House Security Show. But that bill I was telling you I passed, the Safe Storage of Firearms Act. Speaking of coincidence, I went to Kyle Yorley, who was killed with a stolen gun, and I just felt a calling to go to his funeral, and I went. I kept thinking, Lord, you got me here for a reason. Then I got asked to carry the bill. But he was killed with a stolen gun. And the argument I've made, if that gun had been locked up, there's a good chance Kyle York would be alive today. And the bill had never passed. We prayed over it. Mark's a strong believer. I didn't know him. And we walked in, gave testimony, and passed it. So now it's led to radio station, radio show.
Hey, Mike, let me tell you this real quick.
Yep.
The girl here in Cane Ridge, down the street from where I live,
Yep.
She was killed with a stolen gun this week.
Was that the jogger?
Uh-huh.
Yes. What a tragedy.
Yes.
She's got some kind of Smyrna connection, doesn't she?
I'm not sure.
Or Rutherford County.
Rutherford County, yeah.
She went to Vanderbilt?
Yes.
She went to Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, there was another girl that was assaulted, and she was brutally beaten by illegal immigrants the same day over here in Cane Ridge.
Cane Ridge, yeah, man, it's getting out of control. It really is. I mean, I've got a survey that goes out, and illegal immigration has been the number one issue for folks is concerned. Dr. Ming Wang, thank you for coming in, and thank you, Connor. And I'm going to reach out to my pastor, Brother Hazard, have them host you at my church like we did years ago. And also Mark Lewis. We do a Bible study called Men of Hope at Hope Fellowship Church every other Saturday. All the men are invited. So can you meet us at 7:30 in the morning?
7:30. I have to check my schedule.
It'll be about 2 weeks from now.
Oh, okay.
Or a month.
Send me an email.
I will do it.
I'd love to.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. We'll catch up with you next week for more Conversation Mike Sparks.